So it's wet, it's cold, it's dark, we're miserable, and it's too early for beer. So we're back in Raptor's garage in January. Paul, what's the plan today?
Wheel bearings.
Right.
Wheel bearings all day.
Because I think you said in an early video, one of them is absolutely hanging on, isn't it?
That one you'll lean
the wheel
against.
didn't come off.
Yeah, literally this wheel has got like, it does that.
Right.
It's not a joke.
Cool.
There's, so we're going to do this wheel bearing, we're going to have a look at that. We're going to do all the wheel bearings, but we're going to start on that one to have a look what's wrong with it.
Cool, brilliant. I think you probably know, guys, we've not done wheel bearings, because I know I've not done wheel bearings and I've not watched the video of Paul doing wheel bearings. So this is all
I've done lots of wheel bearings, so just haven't filmed it.
We've never filmed it, so it's going to be good for me. I'm going to ask him all the stupid questions that I'm going to ask him that hopefully some of you are thinking at home. And we're also going to go over interesting thing we talked about yesterday is the kits you bought for these are just a cheap Brit part kit for 15 quid a wheel.
Yeah, 15, 16 quid.
Everything in the pack, which as you said is actually a handy little kit to stick in the back of your truck for what we do for overlanding as a backup. But what you'd actually fit to the overlanding kit, what Paul's got fitted to Heimdall, is different and much better quality bearings.
Yeah, I've got Timken's bearings.
Yeah, so I'm going to go on my red one. But having this sort of Brit part £15 kit is a nice, just easy thing you can pop in the back, and it's going to get you home if nothing else. If you lose a bearing out in the middle of the Pyrenees or something like that. But for this, it's a budget build, so we're going with these Brit part £15 bearing sets.
Yeah, they're just the kits that come from paddocks.
Yeah.
They've got everything in. They've got the seals, the bolts. I'm just trying to think,
Grease.
the bearings, the grease. Great little kit just to keep in the back of your truck, like you were saying. You know, in an emergency, you can change out. You've got everything's in the kit. You can just change your wheel bearing out, and you're ready to go. You can fix them.
Yeah.
But like I say, I'm using the Timkens. We'll put Timkens in yours because we know they're going to last.
Yeah, which work out more about £50 a wheel then, don't they?
Yeah,
15,
yeah,
so big difference.
Big difference in price, but because this is going to go in mud, crap, all the other things, we'll put the cheaper wheel bearings in for the simple reason that we will end up just changing these wheel bearings out much more often.
Yeah,
and on these 35-inch tyres, it's going to destroy the wheel bearings.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky to get 6 months out of them.
Yeah.
But
and we'll come back to you guys. We'll, obviously report back as to how long they last and if they've been worth the 15 quid.
Well, I actually pulled Timken's bearings out of my truck last year, put a set of the Brit part ones in, and they did one trip to the Pyrenees.
Yeah.
And I pulled the bearings out, and one of them had started delaminating. It was already pre-scored.
Yeah.
So something had happened to that bearing. So I would not fit them as on a vehicle. I've really got to rely on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but don't forget, this is just going to be for fun, some off-roading. The big trucks, we need them to be as reliable as possible. So right, where do we start?
There.
Right, let's go. Right, guys. So first lesson in my introduction to wheel bearings. More observant amongst you will notice that we just basically started taking this wheel off, but before we did, we thought we'll show you the play in this bearing. Now, 3 of those nuts are loose, but we've just tightened up 2 of them, so this is nothing to do with the actual wheel nuts. Now, Paul's just pointed out to me, when you're testing your wheel and the bearing, there's no point doing this because obviously you're going to get movement and play in the steering. It needs to basically be a top to bottom motion, and if you can pick it up, that play there is nothing to do with the wheel's bolted up, and obviously if you were testing it, it would be fully bolted up. That play and that jiggle is coming from the bearing, which is why it needs changing.
Right, so now we've got the wheel off, guys. The first job now everything's exposed, is to just take off this brake caliper, because we want to withdraw the whole unit, the whole hub needs to come off. So I have no idea off the top of my head what size those are. They're 13. Handy. And sometimes these can be really tight. And so saying these aren't really tight. Oh, that's not good.
Bit rounded.
It's slipping. Yeah. Now that's not good. I'll show people why. These are an 8-sided nut. Right. The bolts that hold the brake caliper on, they're not 8-sided, are they? They're more than that. Whatever amount of splines there are in there, you need a socket to match. So they're an odd nut.
I was looking at torque, isn't it?
It's more like, yeah, they're called something and I can't remember. Someone in the comments will tell me what they are called. But they're a multi-sided nut. And this bottom one has been chewed up. So we're going to have to struggle with that. Not sure if that went or it just jumped. I think that went. I think it moved. Is that right? Oh, it's completely jiggered and it's now rounded up completely. Spanner! Spanner wins! Four-wheel drive actions video last night. Best ute in Australia. L200.
Right.
Right, that's the. Don't worry about the brake pipes because we're replacing them all. So you can. That's knackered anyway, so just move it out of the way. There you go. We'll just make new ones.
Yeah. Right guys, the next thing is we're going to take the hub off. So we're going to take this plastic cover off, take the drive flange off. We're going to stick with the existing drive flange. You'll know on Heimdall Paul's got the uprated heavy duty ones, but yeah, if it's knackered then we can replace it. But again, budget build, so.
Now there's a circlip on the inside there you've got to get off.
Alright. Circlip pliers.
Circlip pliers. With a set of circlip pliers, remove the circlip. And there should be a couple of shims behind it. Or are the shims missing?
No, nothing.
There's no shims behind it. And there should be. So someone's taken the shims out of that. So we'll have to check the end float on it. That's tight. It's a bit silicon done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just. Someone's glued it on. Should just wiggle off now.
So I'm pretty sure with my limited knowledge that that is
nasty.
pretty messy.
Right, let's have a close look at this, guys. That's pretty grotty.
Yeah.
I think that looks like it's some sort of modern grit.
Yeah.
Right, so we're pretty, and that, yeah.
And
Yeah, that's pretty much enough said in that picture, guys.
yeah. And there's no gasket at all on this, is there? It is just.
No, it's been silicon, so we'll clean all that up and we'll rebuild it properly.
Right.
So the next job now is to pull the locking nut off. Under all this, I'm not even going to describe this as grease. Under all this schmutz, there's a locking nut. Now, somewhere on this locking nut, there's a tab that's bent over to hold this in place. So we'll find where the tab is. Oh, it's there. It's on the bottom side. I can feel it. There's a tab there. It's been bent over. So we just need to bend that tab back, so we can get that nut off. So let's get that bent back, and we'll get this nut out, and we'll just have a look. That's nasty. That's not supposed to look like that. Right, I think I may have been lying when I said I could feel the locking tab on this. Now, just been rummaging around in my spares bin. That is what you're looking for on this. Is a big washer. There's a cutout in the hub in the stub axle that this lines up with to hold this in place. You bend one end over that way and one end over the other to lock the nut in place. I think it's missing. I don't think there's one in there. So we'll soon find out. But I need to put a bar in that because that's really tight. That should not be that tight.
Okay, that's interesting. Obviously, you need a big breaker bar type thing to do that.
They should not be that tight. That is really, really bad because that's bending that screwdriver.
So essentially, you're relying on that locking tab to hold it.
Yeah.
So it's sheared.
And someone's just taken the locking tab out and tightened that tight.
Right.
I think we're going to have to get a bigger bar in that because they should not be that tight. And this is what we were just saying. That's bending. You never know what you're buying. Wow. That should not be that tight.
Okay.
Wow. I'm not sure what's going on here. So this just goes back to the what's it that you never know what you're buying when you buy a second-hand car, or what someone's done in the past.
Yeah, I've said it before, guys, especially with these off-roading people that have messed about and added this, added that. If nothing else, if you do buy one, you want to go through all the sort of basics, especially the safety stuff.
Right. There's a nut. This is a different. This is a different type of nut. See, this nut's been hammered over.
Yeah.
Right, that's what's locking that in place. This is different to what we've got. I've never seen this set up before with that sort of nut. Right, so we're going to have to get a chisel in there. Right, this has got a completely different design to this, guys. This has actually got a hammered over nut. I've never seen that before. So we need to get that nut out and have a look what actually is going on in there. So, right, hopefully that'll move now.
Right, guys, so here's the bits that we've taken out, and here's the new kit that we're putting back in. So obviously we had the rubber cap or the plastic cap on the outside, the dry flange. We've actually got new bolts and a paper gasket, so we're not going to be using silicone when we put it back together. Now this is the bolt that, again, Paul's never come across this type of bolt. Guys, let us know in the comments if you know if this, the reasons for that. That's obviously not reusable. The kit comes with what Paul is normally used to seeing, which is 2 nuts, and the idea being is that one nut goes on first and you torque that up appropriately. You then put this washer on, and then you put your second nut on top of that, and then basically you just hammer over the corner or the edge of one nut backwards, which holds this nut in place, and then you bend one forwards on an edge to hold that nut in place. But it also means then that you can obviously just bend those tabs back if you ever need to make any adjustments. Then we've got the washer that we're going to clean up. Then we've got our rubber gasket, a rubber seal, and then the actual bearings that we're going to get to once we get this hub off.
Hey guys, so that's once you've got that locking nut off, the hub just slides off. So what I want to do now is inspect the spindle. Now the spindle isn't too bad. There's a little bit of wear here where the seal goes, so we're going to clean that up. It doesn't warrant looking at it needing a new spindle, and plus we haven't got one, so it isn't getting one. But we'll just need to clean these surfaces up all the way around, clean all this crud off, and put it all back together. Actually, that isn't too bad. Mine were worse on my truck. Yeah, actually that's not too bad at all. Twin locking nuts. Never seen this setup before. That's the rear, that's the front. So you should have twin locking nuts and shouldn't have that spacer. I've never seen that before. Oh well, live and learn. Alright guys, I'm going to take the the crusty rusty bearings out. Jesus. Okay. Right, well, we're going to throw them away. Now, there's a spacer in the middle of this that I've never seen before, and I've just checked my manual and it doesn't show this spacer, so we're going to put it back in, but I've never seen it before, so we're going to put that over there for cleaning. Now I've got, let me just turn this up. For people who haven't done this before, on the back of these you've got your oil seal. This stops the grease getting out of your bearings and stops the water getting in. We're just going to knock that out. So, turn that back over, get a chisel, and just knock the bearing. And the back bearing is not as bad as the front one, but that seal's completely had it. So they're going away. So now we've got to get the races out. Now normally I'd do this on the bench, but you know, for a lot of you guys, you're going to be doing this outside, on your drive, whatever, you know. So we're going to do this the down and dirty method, and I'm just going to do it right here, and I'm going to knock the races out. So get a chisel. Now you've got two lots of races. They're just two. They're the back of the taper roller bearing. They're the taper bit. So find the edge of it, and just start knocking them through. There you have it guys, the back of the taper roller bearing. Now we'll just have a quick look at this one. And that's the front bearing. Now this is supposed to be like a machined, polished surface. And if Chris brings his hand over here, because he's got no gloves, just run your finger round the inside of that.
Oh god, yeah, it's rough as a...
Yeah, but can you feel the ridges in it?
Yeah, all the way.
The
Yeah.
bearing was seized.
Right.
That's why it's like cut these grooves where it's been standing. and that's why that was hanging. Right, to get the, if you just flick this over and find the edge of the other roller bearing, the other bearing, well, the other, there we go. That's why you always carry a chisel in your truck, because if you need to do the wheel bearings, you need to be able to chisel them out.
Because I was presuming that was all one piece, but
You've got two pieces to it.
yeah, so that's what you've just been knocking out.
Yeah, and if you get the old one that I've just knocked out, just show the difference. There you are, guys. Chris is just showing you the difference between the old one and the new one. See how it's a machined, smooth, clean.
Yeah, because I just presumed that's what we were going to fit. I hadn't realised it would come at 2 bits, because I was wondering then what you were knocking out above and beyond what we were going to put in. Because
well, that's why it's a tapered roller bearing. It's a tapered bearing that sits
in its, yeah,
on a race.
right.
So that's what it rolls against, that's its rolling surface.
Yeah.
And that's why you can tighten them up, because it'll squash into the...
That is as smooth as can be.
Yeah. But as you put tension on it and close them up and tighten them up, they squish together.
Yeah.
And that's what gives you your bearing tensions.
Right. Right.
Right, guys, we're going to put the new bearing race in now. Now you saw me chisel the other one out. Now what you don't want to do is hit, knock, mark these in any way. So what we're going to do is lower that in place and get it nice and central and square, just so it drops in like that. So that's in place. Take an old bearing race. Now I'm not using the ones we've just taken out because they're really horrible. So I've got that bearing race and my new one, and I'm just going to tap this one in, so just till it starts. And then we get another race. Till it goes solid and sounds like that. Once you get that hard sound, that race is now seated all the way. So I have not marked that one in any way, shape or form, and it's nicely pressed in. Just check that it's seated all the way around on the back, and it is. And so saying, that's actually loose. You know what? I think this hub's knackered.
So actually, definitely once it's knocked in, it should not have any
Should not move. That hub's knackered. That's been spinning. Yep. That's not seating. Right, so we need a new hub. So that's sorted that side out. That's dead. Right.
Right guys, see there's the answer to that. What we're going to do is we'll do the other side and we'll pick up on this video where we leave off now, because obviously the filming takes us a long time. It takes us 4 times as long just to do this, filming it, and it will do to actually do it. So we're going to hop on the other side, do the other side. When we get to where we are now, we'll carry on, and hopefully the other hub is in better nick than this one is, and we'll talk about this knackered hub a bit more when we come back to you. Right, let's just rewind everything I just said. Turns out Paul has got a whole spare assembly in his garage of many things, because obviously many Land Rovers have come to pieces in this garage, so we're just basically going to swap them completely over, and we're probably going to do the same with the other side, because if it's anything like this side, might as well replace it. Basically that hub was knackered, that bearing race should have stayed in. Once it was hammered in place, there's no way that should come out. So that has basically been spinning on itself, hasn't it?
It's been spinning. Like I said, that bearing looks like it's seized.
Yeah.
I think the bearing had seized and spun the race and the housing.
Race as well.
Now I know there's nothing wrong with those ones, except that's 14mm, not 13. There you go.
I think they're all hand tight. I think these are just a little bit.
Yeah, I've just wound them in with my fingers. But yeah, so what I'm going to do with that, guys, is we'll lob it in the bin. Basically, that's knackered. So I've got a spare rotor. That's a good one because they've done. I know they were taken off my truck, so they've only done 5,000. Well, they haven't even done 5,000 miles. So we'll just change that entire assembly over. Now I've just checked the parts numbers on the back of these guys. There is a parts number on everything. And what did we just say this was?
Something.
HRC or HRG
1924.
1924, and that hub is exactly the same part number. So I actually don't think there's any difference between the front hub and the rear hub. Now, as I was just saying, I don't think if this one's as bad as it was, I think what we'll do is just assemble the other one, put the presser bearings in, just put it straight on the other side, just rip the other one off and just swap it all over. Right, now where were we? We were pressing these bearings in. Well, we're knocking these bearings in, we're not pressing them in. So, as before, we want to take our new bearing race, which isn't that one, which is that one. Make sure these are spotlessly clean, guys, when they're going in. Don't have crud and all the other bits on them. That's nice and clean. Now, as before, we just want to lower that in, and you'll feel as it goes in that it's gone in central, and just make sure. Now, I'm not hitting that, I'm just tapping it very lightly. Get your other bearing that you're going to start knocking it in with, your other bearing carrier. And as you can see, this is loads tighter than the first one we started with. Now, I'm not hitting that hard, I'm just tapping it. You don't want to smack these in, you don't want to. All you want to do. Now, if you notice, I'm doing it in a cross pattern. If you try to hit one side, you'll end up just kinking the bearing in, or the bearing carrier in, and it'll just jam up in the what's it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see it just goes in nice and easy. Chris is standing over there nodding his head going, oh, that's how you do it.
That's a world of difference from what the last one was. It was literally, he's almost sat in the bottom by the time he started to.
Yeah, it dropped in, the other one did.
You've almost got both those old bearings in before you even start having the tap. Now that's in nice and square. Now we're just waiting for the sound to change. Do you hear that change? Yeah. Now metal on metal in it.
Metal on metal. Right, so flip that back over. Get your chisel, which is hiding.
And obviously,
And
make sure you put the base in the right way, isn't it? Because obviously the tape you want the.
Yeah, don't put the bearing in backwards, because you won't get it back
You
out.
want to make sure that bearing will sit in the tape a bit, not the other way around.
Now I'm not hitting the new bearing race. I'm hitting the.
course, yeah, because your two now get stuck in there as well, don't they?
And if Chris brings the GoPro over here, you can have a look what the good one should look like. That's what it should look like from what it did look like before. So yeah, that's much better. So putting the back one in is exactly the same way. It's just a bit of surface rust on that. Not much, that's fine. Wiped off with my glove. So again, we're going to get the new. Now, the one thing I will say is don't mix your bearings up. The race that comes with this bearing is the front one, so can keep that one in the box because we know it's the front. And now we'll do the back one.
But there's no difference between those two bearings, is there?
No, the bearings
right,
right, but when they make them, they're matched,
yeah.
Or should be.
Yeah. So you can put the pair at the front or the back, but you've got to keep that pair together.
But keep the pair together. Oh God, quality bag. So keep that in the box, don't have any dirt getting on it. And again. Get it started. You'll hear it when it gets started. How much more solid that is instantly. Isn't quite square, I can feel it. Now, see how it hasn't done, it's just started, just square.
It's higher side.
Yeah, so use the blunt end of the chisel. I mean, really what you should do is just put these in a press, but I'm doing this way because most people haven't got a press site and sitting around. This is how you do when you ain't got a press.
But also you do it by the side of the road, isn't it?
Which is how you're going to,
how we may be doing it.
See, that doesn't want to go in square. Once you get it started square, it's dead easy. Don't try to force them. Got it?
Yeah. Oh, straight away, can't you?
Yeah. I mean, when you're just putting these in, you just want to do it by feel. You can feel it going in. Don't force it. Just drift it in nicely. You can hear it when it lands. Right guys, for the next fun bit, we've got to grease the bearing. Now what you want to do is just work the grease into the bearing. Put it on a flat in your hand and just push it so it just gets squished into the rollers. Now, like I said before, this is the rear one. We've got them in order. I'm just going to spend 5 minutes just working the grease into the bearing. What I want to do is push it all the way through. Just a little bit at a time, just till it comes through the bearing. And it does help if you just rotate it every now and again as well, just to work the grease into the rollers. My hands are clean, there's no grit on them. They are a bit dirty, but it's not like stuff that's going to get into the rollers. Flip them over, work some into the other side. Basically what this is just called packing the bearing. So you're just packing the grease into the bearing, and if Chris brings the little camera over here, as I'm packing the grease in, can you see it actually starting to smush up through there? So I'm pushing it. See it coming through? I'm just doing that all the way around. Come up. It's just starting to squish through. That means all the rollers in the bearing. Yep, it's starting to squish through. All the rollers in the bearing. So that one just smush up. That one's done.
So you put rubber seal in that now so it doesn't fall out, and obviously you have to flip it over.
Yeah. Right, I've just dropped the bearing into the race. That's nicely greased now. And to stop that falling out, we'll put the seal in. So just going to push that in to start with, and we're going to get one of the old bearing races and just tap that back in. There we go, that's all together now. So if we just put some grease on this piece here, onto where the seal sits, that'll stop the seal wearing out prematurely. We've cleaned all that off with the wire brush, so now we're just ready to do the other side. Exactly the same, pack the bearing with some grease and put it together.
So there's no difference on the grease here, you just actually, this is the grease that came with it, isn't it? But like you said, there's never really enough, so...
No, they don't actually send you enough when you're packing the bearings fresh, so that was just some high temperature grease that I packed the back ones with. And this is just a pack of grease that came with it. Put some grease on that, where that's new seal's going to run. They probably nearly give you enough to do it. But I always like putting a bit of extra grease in the bearings. Just like that on the back. As that spins round, it'll find its own way round in that. As long as we know that those bearings are packed before they go in, that'll be fine. So now it's just a case of sliding this back on, which is a bit tight because they're new bearings.
Hold it or you tack it?
It's just got a bit of a burr on that front edge. I'll go. Well, you give it a tap. And I'll, yeah. It's going. Yep. Now we can put that other one on with the nut. Right, now we've got that on. Reason we had to tap that on is just pushing it. There's a tiny little burr up on the edge of the stub axle. We'd actually just polished a little bit of it off, but it's fine. So next job, put your washer on. Preferably the right way up. There we go. It only goes one way. And get one of the new locking nuts, which are in there. Don't know what that is. now know it's just a little burr on it. Right, so somewhere I've got that big spanner. Get on. And so all I'm doing is tightening this up till we push all the bearings on to get everything nice and tight. Now it already feels nicer.
So presumably it's difficult to put that up to any sort of torque setting because of the sheer
Well,
size and not having
the proper way of doing it is you put it all together, then you put a clock gauge on, you know, like the one we use for doing the pump.
yeah,
Put that on there, measure the run out.
right.
I'm not going to do that, I'm going to do by feel. So I'm going to grolly it all the way up and back it off half turn until it feels right, because most guys, you won't have the clock gauge. You're not going to have a magnetic clock gauge to measure all the run out. And as people go, oh, you can't do it unless you do this, that and the other. You can. It's not how it says in the book, but I can actually feel that's getting tight. So I'm going to nip it up and back it off. Is it exactly right? Is it the proper way of doing it? No. Does it work? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you going to have a clock gauge when you're at the side of the road in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, and most people aren't going to have a clock gauge anyway.
No. I'm going to tighten that all the way up till it starts binding on the bearings and you can feel it dragging. And I'm just going to do that a couple of times just to seat them, back it off half a turn. Have a feel. And like I was just saying, is it the right way of doing it? No. Does it work? Yes. Is it going to work in this truck? Definitely. Have a feel of that. You felt the bearings before in that.
Oh, yeah, that's nice, right. It's a lot different.
We haven't got that piece of kit. It's a magnetic clock gauge that measures all the run out and all the bits. We ain't got it, so we ain't going to use it.
No.
And if anyone wants to complain about it,
well, your toolbox expands over time. You've got literally, I mean, I've never come, you've got a plastic welder, soldering iron, I mean, I've never come across that. But, you know, unless you're extremely fortunate or in the commercial business where you've got everything because the company's paid for it, you're not going to have everything, are you?
no.
You know,
But that's going to work.
yeah. The little home mechanic like me has got enough to do this. I mean, I wouldn't have that, wouldn't be able to remove nothing. I could buy that off you. You know, you build your bits up over time, don't you?
Yeah.
You're never going to have frigging everything.
And I've never owned a run out gauge for this. Because I've never needed one.
No, I've not seen a wheel fall off yours yet.
No. And there's 9 times out of 10 you'll take it to a garage, they'll do the bearings, they'll do it this way. They're not going to sit there pegging around with a gauge going, this is the correct way to do it, it says it in the manual. We all know how to do it in the manual, but if you're on the side of a mountain, all on your lonesome, and you're a hammer and chisel and a big box spanner, that's what you're going to do it with. Right, so we're going to tighten that outer nut up with the bar that was behind it.
So this one we can presumably do a lot tighter because we're not going to make any difference now on that.
No, that's tight enough. And then we're just going to knock those tabs over. And that feels lovely, that feels fine. Feels better than it did. Doesn't feel like it's it doesn't feel like it's going to drop off now. So, we need a little chisel. And this is a completely different setup to what we had before. So, we're going to find where the nut is. And fold that one over that way. pulled that one over that one. So in this we've got a new paper gasket, we're not putting silicone in it. We've got some grease on these splines now to stop any excessive wear in there. Just wanted to make nut to pull the spline out.
Yes.
So there is a torque setting for these, and I'm going to find it in a minute. I think, off the top of my head, I think the 45 Newton meters one. Don't. Newton meters, right, and we need, hang on. There we are.
Right, so guys, there's Paul's just pointing out, there's a lot of what is it, end float we call it?
End float in that.
End float there, so in another video we'll basically show you how you adjust that, use some basic spacers to prevent that, because you don't want as much backwards and forwards as that.
No, it won't make things happy. But we'll sort that. We've sorted the worst of it. So all we've got to do now is do the fettling bits. So we can stick the brake back on that, and now we'll do the rear one.
Okay guys, so we're on the rear, we've taken the wheel off. Now there's no difference between the front and the rear. The only difference is that basically this drive flange and the drive shaft are basically just one unit. So there's no circuit to remove this time, because the whole thing comes out in one go. Other than that, it's basically the same. So we're going to crack on, because obviously we've only got basically the day to do it. Time is short because it gets dark early. So we'll keep the camera running for a bit of it, but we're going to crack on now, and we'll come back to you in a bit when we've got this thing finished.
So that's how I would have expected the front ones to be. I've never seen that design before on what's on the front of that. Sorry, do
Rush me.
I went full retard. Can't go full retard. Finger tight. Yeah. Death loose. Death trap. Death trap tight. Don't tell Ange. I've got a new set of brake pads for the rear of this as well. Well, we've got the brakes. Well, I'll do all the brakes in one go, but there's a new set sitting in the box over there. Well, that's the rear wheel bearings done. There was no real issues with them, bar taking out the ABS sensors. They just didn't want to knock out of the axle, but like I said, while we were pulling them apart, they aren't staying, so we might as well just delete them now. But we're just going to finish the front wheel bearing, the front, hang on, which way around on passenger side. Yeah, passenger side. And we're just going to change the whole hub. We're not even going to mess around taking it apart, because the state of that one that we took off the driver's side, I'm pretty sure it's not even worth messing around with.
Yeah.
There's
they were in the same bad state, weren't they? The rear ones were just as.
yeah, with one of the bearing, I mean the hubs and the stub axles are good. Yeah. They're not too bad. The wheel bearings were loose. Yeah. I mean, like finger tight loose in that one particularly wanted it.
But it all matches up with to the kit now, doesn't it? So that looks at the moment to be the odd one, isn't it? That odd front one that was weird, the nuts.
Yeah, that weird assembly that we've never.
Two nuts and
we've just never seen that before. Yeah. So we'll see when we pull this one off if it's the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never seen it before, so we're just going to put them all back to how we're used to having them, with the twin nuts and the locking washer. So we're just going to rip this one off, and we'll have a look what that's like.
And drink more coffee.
More coffee. Coffee. Right, let's get this finished because it's going dark.
Cheers.
Just a quick update on this for you guys. The this passenger side hub assembly was like the rest of them, with 2 nuts and a locking washer, and is in really good condition. So I don't know what was going on with that other one. The only thing is, if anyone knows what that is one of the spacer shims for the to take the end float out to the drive shaft. Was on the wrong side. It was actually inside, it was in here, so that was probably not working that well. But yeah, so it's all going nice and smoothly now. So we're just going to chuck that other one on because we've already built it up now. The bearings are in it. So yeah, we have a world of pieces. And just as we watch it. Look who's turned up. She's not been on film for ages.
That's why.
It's got no grease on it.
Yet. Come here.
No. You can now because I'm going back to school, so that's fine.
Alright. I'll go away then.
Right guys, so we're done. So the first wheel took about 3 hours because, guys, that's the process of filming it. It does take us a lot longer to do jobs because we film it, which is, you know, kind of makes the whole process of doing these things a lot long-winded. Yeah. So it took us about 3 hours to do that first one. Paul's going to explain what, in conclusion, we think about that first wheel, because the 2 rears and the passenger side front were exactly as expected from everything that Paul's ever worked on before, and it took us about an hour and a half to do all 3.
Yeah, they're a doddle.
Yeah.
So they're all the back ones and the driver's side. Hang on. No, sorry, passenger side were all twin locking nuts and a washer. Yeah. Still don't know what that other one's off. I've never seen that set up before.
Yeah, you thought for a bit of Defender, but then we've had the Defender.
I've just been in the Defender manual.
Is there between Defender and a Disco? So.
No, there's unless it's a really late model one. So basically, we think that entire hub, swivel house, and everything has been transplanted off another truck, but I don't know which one. So that's why it was a bit. Just drop it in. Yeah, if anyone knows what that come off, I'd like to know. Unless it's off of like a late model Defender. There's a later model Defender, but I've never seen that setup, so
cool.
I'd like to know.
So yeah, great learning curve for me. I thoroughly enjoyed today. I have these days when I really enjoyed doing this stuff with Paul, because I learn all this new stuff that I can take away, and if I ever get stuck, I can sort things out, or I can just do jobs on my own now without having to come and pester Paul. It's nicer to come here because otherwise I'm doing it on my front drive with people walking by giving me weird looks.
I give him weird looks.
Yeah, that's true. Make sure you subscribe, hit your notification bell. We've got some awesome videos coming up. I'm excited because tomorrow we start work on the suspension lift on my truck. So we're basically going to be putting the flared wheel arches on tomorrow.
We'll start with body work and work our way down.
Body work away. We've got a lot of new t-shirts in, so we're going to be showing you them. And also don't forget, you'll have watched the DTI gauge video by now, and Neil at Forby is giving us one to give away as a competition prize. So we're going to be announcing the competition soon, so you've got a chance to win one of those. And the other thing we want to ask you guys, if you're still watching, we're going to ask you again at the beginning of another video. We're thinking about setting up a Patreon page. Now, if you're not used to Patreon or don't know what it is, Patreon is basically a way of giving you guys, the subscribers who keep all this channel going, a way to kind of help us out with basically just buying us a cup of coffee each month. Just basically a couple of dollars, because it's an American thing, but a couple of dollars kind of donation from a few of you just really helps us financially keep the channel going, because it does cost us a lot of money. I mean, you know, Paul's invested literally thousands of pounds in camera equipment. The iMac that I used to do all the film editing on, I mean, that's a £3,000 computer, and just buying the gear to do what we do. And we love doing it, but it would help a little bit of cash. We've got a couple of fantastic sponsors. Adrenaline 4x4, I mean, thanks, big hats off to James, who's helped us out on this project. That makes a massive difference.
Yeah, because we wouldn't have been able to do this build without him.
No. And Neil at Forby. Now he's, you know, we've obviously been, you've seen the videos, we've been working in conjunction with him just to basically do some videos, give you some reviews. He's basically come on board. He wants to help us out more for us to kind of showcase some of his products. And guys, we've said before, we would not showcase stuff if we didn't like it. And to prove that point, I've just spent £1,000 on Toyo tyres with the wheels, and Toyo, they give us some stuff for competitions to give away, but they've never given us any free tyres. Okay, I paid for those.
And you've still been out and bought them.
Yeah, I've got the faith in the Toyo brand, and that's why I went out and spent, 650 quid on 5 new tyres. So, we're not going to promote stuff that we're not going to use ourselves, and we don't think is good quality. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. It's one of those good, I think a really good tutorial video that's going to be for people. And stay tuned, because the next video, we're going to start chopping my car up.
We're going to chop your car?
Yay!
See you later, guys.
See you guys.